Yo, welcome to the Ant-Man channel. Let me get on your level here for a second. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. It is Wednesday the 28th of January 2015, and I'm your host, Ant-Man. A very rare special occasion of doing the news in the afternoon, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was expedient. I was, I had a little bit of extra time, and I said, hey, why not? So I'll post an article. Here I had in my little archives, or my, I had it bookmarked, if that's actually the correct term. From this article is from christianpost.com. It's under the column of entertainment. And yes, atheists are entertaining, but it's unintentional humor. It's more like sad because of the reprobate mind of the self-refuting things they may say sometimes. Or maybe that the straw man is not as strong as you think he is when you knock him down and parade with your friends around as if you were really victorious over Goliath or something. But let's be honest, we need to be merciful because our God is merciful. We need to be patient because our God's patient. So anyways, I got an article in front of me. It's called Newsboys co-founder, I'm now an atheist. Richard Dawkins had an influence on my spiritual journey. Ah, yes, the great Richard Dawkins. This is by Samuel Smith. He's a CP reporter. So let's get into this, shall we? The co-founder and former guitarist of the popular world-famous Christian rock band The Newsboys has officially renounced his Christian faith and is calling members of the current version of the band hypocrites. Well, I was never a fan of you guys, The Newsboys. I've heard of you guys, but I'm not really a fan of. I wasn't, a Christian back then, and I'm not into that kind of music, so it's just not happening. George Perdiccas, who founded the chart-topping Christian band in 1985 with his friend Peter Fuller, wrote an op-ed on Wednesday published by the website Atheist, explaining how he transformed from a guitarist in one of the most popular Christian rock bands of all time to a cosmology-enthused atheist. Well, we all know that rock stars are not the greatest theologians of all time, so just because you're a rock star, dude, does not mean that you have this ridiculous credential to say, oh yeah, look at me, I was a Christian, and look at me now, I'm an atheist. Well, there is biblical doctrine that backs up the fact that if you thought you were a Christian, but you decided to become something else, the fact of the matter is you never were a Christian. Because see, the regeneration or the born-again experience is once and for all. When you die, there is no reversing that. The same thing happens in the spiritual realm. When we die to ourselves, we are lifted and spiritually resurrected by the Spirit of God to live for a new reason. It's not just, it's evident in ourselves because I know it as evidence to myself. The atheist thinks the question of the existence of God starts with evidence, but it doesn't. But I have evidence, but it's just that I can't really, I can't manifest it in a physical form for you. But I do know it because I knew who I was before, and I know who I am now through the transforming work of the gospel. It's really amazing. There's nothing short of, I could go on just about that, but let's get back into this. So yeah, there's the whole Christian, I was a Christian and now I'm not, it doesn't work because there's a sound way to be saved. Once you're saved, it's not that you're once saved, always saved, but there's a real theology behind the whole becoming born again thing where where there's a genuinely new born again believer there, and when there's someone who's just seeking. Now, there are churches that they think they're doing the world a service by catering to the seeker-sensitive type movement, but that doesn't work. When the church is just trying to accommodate the world, it turns into the world, so we don't want to do that. So let's get back into this, shall we? I always felt uncomfortable with the strict rules imposed by Christianity. All I wanted to do was play rock and roll, Perdiccas wrote, and yet most of the attention I received was focused on how well I maintained the impossible standards of religion. Wow, he really wasn't saved, because that statement proves it. You are saved by grace alone. If he felt like he was struggling, well then he is mimicking what other religious people look like when they come from different faiths, because a person who struggles to earn his salvation is always a nervous wreck. It's true. You're never at rest, because you're always conflicted with things that you don't do right, and we don't all do the right thing. It's just the body is not meant to follow the law of God. It's the fallen nature of it. It doesn't work. Anyways, I wanted my life to be measured by my music, not be my ability to resist temptation. And now I'm an atheist, Perdiccas asserted. I bet he said that proudly too, assuming that that meant that he was superior intellectually. I really don't see what being an atheist gives everybody so much of an arrogant spirit about them. I don't see what that's all about, is what I should say. I don't see what so great about being an atheist. You believe you came from an ape. You have the attention span of a goldfish, and you have the spinal cord of a jellyfish, which is non-existent. Because there's nothing brave or honorable about trying to win arguments by insulting people and bashing their person down. That's disgusting. It's not manly at all. And the attention span of a goldfish, where that comes from, is that we all know atheists to be, they are renowned for never researching what they claim to think they know. That's why I say that, because they're probably typical postmoderns. They watch 8 hours of television a day. They probably really do have the attention span of a goldfish. And they do actually believe that they came from apes, so actually what's going to come out of that is going to manifest in a way that you are going to act like an animal. Morals are relative, and it's all relative. I don't see something, so I don't believe it. It's a self-refuting thing, you know what I mean? God doesn't exist, but I don't believe in him, but I'm going to go out and disprove it, that he exists, but I don't believe in him. You see what I'm saying? It's stupid. So anyway, let's get back into this before I go further and say things I shouldn't. Perdiccas' piece began by explaining the origins of the band, which originated in Queensland, Australia, and how it became a Christian rock band after Perdiccas was kicked out of his high school and was sent off to a Christian school in Bethesda in 1981. He met Furler, who was a drummer, and jammed with him in a garage for years. When Furler's family moved to Queensland in 1983, Perdiccas would travel up the coast to play with Furler on most weekends. Perdiccas later invited his other friend Sean Taylor, who played bass, to join the two in their jam sessions. Perdiccas would later invite a vocalist, John James, to join the band, although the band initially started out playing cover gigs in pubs, churches, parks, and other small gatherings. Churches and pubs, huh? Quite a variety of places to be a Christian band playing in different venues, huh? Perdiccas said the band evolved quickly, and he ended up quitting his job in the Air Force and moved in with the Furler family in order to concentrate solely on music. As the band began to write its own songs and practice more often, the members decided to describe it as a Christian rock band out of respect for Furler's parents, who were fundamentalist Christians. The choice to become a Christian rock band was heavily influenced by Peter's parents, Bill and Rosalie Furler. As fundamentalist Christians, the only acceptable form of music was the kind that worshipped God, Perdiccas explained. Bill and Rosalie were like second parents to me, and that for that reason, I never questioned their advice. As the band practiced and wrote more songs, they decided to call themselves the Newsboys. We might have been classified as Christian rock, but musically I felt we were as good as any secular band, Perdiccas asserted. The Newsboys' big break came in 1987 when they were asked to participate in an event with the Christian band Whiteheart. Whiteheart liked the Newsboys' music, and later that year the band was recording their first album. Read all about it. They liked the Newsboys, is what I said. The White Heart Band liked the Newsboys. Perdiccas co-wrote the band's first 2 albums and toured with the band up until he left in 1990. He would later get married, teach guitar, and have 2 daughters. He explained that after leaving the band, he began to live a life that separated him spiritually from the church as he began to search for what his beliefs truly were, admitting that he never really thought much about what he truly believed. Let me get something through to you guys that play church, respectively, out of love. The world tries to institutionalize you, to believe that we're supposed to just go work for someone and make a paycheck and pay our taxes. That's what the system tries to ingrain into your brain. The Christian, though, should be institutionalized, if you will, by the church. We should be so centered around what we believe in that it helps us choose and decide what we're going to do financially, what we're going to do when we plan for our future, what we do when we're going to plan for a lot of everything in our lives. You see, when people get confused about how the church does things and how the world does things, that's a clear indicator that this person's not in the Spirit, does not have God in him, and is not reading the Bible. Because if you read the Bible, then you would have direction in your life. It sounds ridiculous to probably some of you, but it's so true. It's the truth. You will have guidance, and you'll know where you're going in life, and that there's a plan intrinsically built in that, you know what I mean, that God put in your life. I tell this to a lot of Christians these days, like don't forsake your calling like Lot did, man. If you're called to be a Christian, embrace that calling and live up to what God has in store for you. Don't live for the now, man. This world, this pagan society we have is not worth it. But anyways, he started to become interested in cosmology in 1992. He became intrigued by the works of famous cosmologists and evolutionists like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Richard Dawkins, Carl Sagan, Lawrence Krauss, and others. All not very impressive to me, though smart, but not very impressive when it comes to philosophy and ideologies. I learned so much and was blown away by all the amazing scientific discoveries, Perdiccas said. After his marriage fell apart in 2003, Perdiccas said he did not turn toward God. Unbelievable. That's a crying shame, you guys. But instead turned his attention toward psychology. Talk about losing a soul right there, man. About 4 years later, in 2007, Perdiccas has renounced his Christian faith. Well, you never were Christian. Sorry, dude. In the postmodern era, I know that people think that they can give themselves titles, but actually the way that works is that people that understand philosophy, ideologies, and all that kind of stuff, they prescribe the titles to you. You don't get to choose what you are, because if you don't actually research what you are and know what you actually believe in, you don't have a say over that. Sounds reasonable to me. It may sound like offensive to you because we're in the postmodern era, by the way. That's a capital punishment when you offend somebody. So anyways, I mean, it's just, to me, like, this kind of stuff just kind of points toward the fact that his marriage was falling apart, which was a clear indicator that he was not living in God's will. He never was a Christian. This is a sad realization, because a man who was probably led to believe that he was a Christian did not get the type of love and instruction from the Christian church that he was supposed to get. And because of that, it ruined his faith, man. It's really, this is a sad thing to see. And not only that, but he turned to wizardry, psychology, psychiatry, the pharmakia. That's all sorcery, you guys. These people are using eugenics to soft kill people using psychology and pharmaceutical medication. This is a known fact. And vaccines, too, are a lie, with cancerous things in it that cause cancer. Most vaccines are admitted to not be really, they're not really effective to what they are actually built for, most of the time. It's an admitted fact, my friend. Just saying, man, just saying. Perkins continued in his op-ed by criticizing the Christian music industry. Go for it. The Christian music scene is populated by many people who act as though they have a direct hotline to a God who supplies them with the answers to the universe, wrote Perkins. There seems to be more ego and narcissism amongst Christian musicians than their secular counterparts. Well, if we're going to start judging the church that Christ built based on the people who go to church, that's not a good thing. Gandhi is the ultimate example of this. He said, I would be a Christian if it wasn't for the Christians. Hilarious, because to me, I can see why he would say something like that. And with all love, I'm saying, man, we're living in a time where a lot of our friends and brothers and sisters are so lost and they think they're not. And it's really not easy to say because it sounds arrogant, I know, but it's the truth. It's because it's based on a matter of fact. And the reason why a lot of people may say that we're egotistical narcissists is because we have this confidence that comes from our hope. You're supposed to apologetically have an answer ready for anyone who questions the hope that is in you. And that is, you know what I mean? That's the real way to be a Christian, man. And when Christians are afraid to speak up or defend their faith is because they don't know what they believe in. Unfortunately. Are you saved because of that? Are you saved because you're pre-trib, mid-trib, post-wrath, or whatever? No. You're saved because of grace and faith to the fact that Jesus died for you. That's it. But anyways, let's get back into this. He did not shy away from attacking the current version of the Newsboys, which did not include any of the band's original members. Recently, the Newsboys were featured in the movie God's Not Dead. He's surely alive, he's lit. Sorry about that. The movie demonstrated the pervasive attitude of Christians that demonized everyone while giving past. They demonized everyone while giving past to their own particular brand of Christianity, making themselves look like white, fluffy, white angels with perfect, synchronized lives, Perdiccas accused. The truth is, from someone who knows what went on then and what goes on now, the Newsboys aren't as holy as they profess. Instead of wearing a mask of righteousness, they should acknowledge that they are struggling as much as everyone else. Oh, poor sinner. Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye when you have a beam sticking out of your own? You were never even a Christian to begin with, to be even judging, based that you don't have an objective moral standard And it's just sad, you guys. I would say pray for this guy. This is a real guy who has been indoctrinated and probably, peer pressured into believing this failed ideology. God bless you.